we have nothing to doubt while talking of addiction as being a disease. Addiction is a disease because it affects all the areas of our life. It affects us physically, it affects us spiritually, it affects us psychologically, it affects us physiologically, it affects all the dimensions of our life. And this is what we believe as to be the disease concept of the disease of addiction. This should be adopted by everyone so that we can all come together to be able to support someone who is in addiction to come out of the disease of addiction. Because some take it as if some other people are doing it intentionally for their own leisure or happiness. But addiction is a disease. I'm going to take you through the disease concept. Just bear with me to learn something out of it. First, addiction disease is a primary disease. Addiction disease is a primary disease to mean that it's a disease by itself. It's not a disease for those people that does not know God. It's not a disease for those people that are not saved, as some other people claim. It's not a disease for those people who are rebellious in the community. But it's a disease without using all these other descriptions that we use. Addiction disease also, it's chronic. Addiction disease is chronic. What does that mean? That it will require a long time of attention. It will require a process, not an event, for someone to come out of the disease of addiction. It is chronic also because it has some traditions that has to be adhered to. It is chronic like those other chronic ailments that require long time of adherence to the traditions of that disease. Also, addiction disease is progressive. Progressive because it progresses as the body develops tolerance towards the substance that we are taking. Take, for example, when someone takes heroin or vanc or some other substances, what do they experience? They experience psychoactive effect. After experiencing psychoactive effect, what happens? This effect is either positive or negative. So here it will become either positive or negative. Negative, if someone experiences a negative effect or gets negative reward, then they are going automatically to stop taking any kind of substance that they are taking. But if they experiences positive reward, it means that because our brains are conditioned that anything pleasurable has to be repeated again. So they would want to repeat the one that they got again. That means they are going to take either to experience the euphoria, to experience the iriness that they experienced the first time. And they would want to take it again and again. And then after that, we are going to develop what we call tolerance. That means their body is going to be so much accommodative. It will require some more and more of what they were taking so that they can experience the same effect. Then, after experiencing tolerance for sometimes someone continues taking the large quantities, they are going to reach to a point of dependency. They are going to reach to a point of dependency. This is what we are calling now the disease. Someone cannot come out of the dependency without an outside hand reaching to them. Then, another one is that the addiction disease is no one's fault. Addiction disease is no one's fault. We cannot blame anyone because of being in the disease of addiction. Because anyone is vulnerable. given the right, then given the circumstances, the environment, the situations, and many other things, anyone is vulnerable of becoming an addict, of becoming dependency on anything that someone has been exposed to. And then, lastly, we can talk about addiction disease as being genetic. It can be genetic because we can just refer to the experiment that was done in America, that those people, the children, those children who were in the children's home, the one that came or was taken to the family of the parents who were drug users, but their origin that they were traced back was not the lineage of the drug users, of the alcohol users. They never became addicts. So it can be traced that there are very many referrals that you can refer to that. It can be genetic also. It can be